chance Team Liquid will make it out. But as for now, my prediction is that I think EDG will make it out because it just feels like, yeah, it just feels like EDG will probably make it out. I don't want to say names, but like some of the Team Liquid players are not like playing like super insane, but yeah.
You took a 180 there at the end. I guess a lot of people also wouldn't have said G2 would get out this group at the beginning of Worlds. So I think you still deserve a huge congratulations for doing that. Congratulations, Jankos. We'll see you in quarterfinals. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much. I love the way Shock sums that up.
Yeah.
Kind of took a 180 there right at the end. Saying that Team Liquid has the pieces to come out of the group, but that they're not necessarily performing to that level and therefore predicts EDG coming out.
Yep.
Today, we've got the teams in Group C ready to hit the rift with the undefeated KT Rolster currently in first ahead of the LPL's Edward Gaming. Team Liquid will get a chance to close in as they face off against KT in Game 1, followed by Mad Team versus EDG. The LCK and LPL representatives clash on the Rift in Game 4, with our next quarterfinalists being decided at the end of the day after any necessary tiebreakers. As we've seen so far, though, nothing is impossible at this World's group stage. So here are our predictions for the day, and we all entirely align. It will be KT 6-0, 4-2, 2-4, and 0-6. So the mirrored group exit.
I'm not gonna lie, my eyes honed in on Jats as quickly as possible to see if you would break rank, and you didn't. Why?
He didn't.
Because of what we saw on the first round robin, and I will say that type of group spread where every team will beat a team twice or lose to another team twice since we've started this format has only ever happened once, and that was a group in 2015 that had SKT, EDG, H2K, and the Bangkok Titans. So we've only ever had 3 teams go 6-0. We've only ever had 3 teams go 0-6. So it is actually unlikely, even if all of us are predicting it because we think it's the most likely.
So what I wanted to, yes, exactly. I believe that those are the most likely predictions. So I want to discuss what are the most likely upsets. You're looking at either EDG taking a game off of KT to force a 5-1 tiebreaker. You're looking at TL to take a game off of EDG to force a 3-3 tiebreaker. Or you're looking for Mad Team to take a game off of TL to force that 1-5 tiebreaker, essentially.
Which wouldn't be a tiebreaker.
I'll take number C, please.
You're right. You're taking which one?
I'll take C. I'll take Mad. I actually think Mad were quite competitive, especially in their game against Edward Gaming. And I just think it takes one person. Like, if you're focusing for this group and you're prepping, especially because it feels like the decider between Edward Gaming and TL, they're probably going hardcore on each other, and someone's going to slip up and Mad's just going to blue shell.
I am 100% sure that we have 6-0 KT and 0-6 Mad Team.
So the only possibility is between TL and EDG.
100%.
And what I like about today is that all the TL fans are saying, like, man, TL just, the pressure gets to them and then they just don't show up. And so many of the EDG fans say the same thing. So I think mental fortitude is going to be so important today, whether or not, if Team Liquid loses game 1 of the day versus KT, can they recover for the Mad game and eventually the EDG game? And then looking at games 4 and 5, which is EDG playing KT, with the win most likely meaning they get out, they lose that one, retry against TL after just losing 15 minutes prior is going to be a big mental test for EDG.
Mental fortitude, very important for the players on a day like this. Also important for us as analysts, as after days of nagging, we finally decided to give Jat some time in the spotlight with some Jat stats. So, what do you got for us today?
I got a good one. So I was looking within Group C, early game stats. Deficio was like, what kind of stats are you going to ask me? I said, they're going to be related to the group. So, which player in Group C has the best gold difference at 10 and also the best XP difference at 10? And the XP difference is actually more than double the next closest player in the group.
I'm saying score.
Best gold difference.
You think he wildly out-jungles other people by 400 gold at 10 minutes?
Yeah.
He gets kills early
so
game.
The gold difference is always compared against the role. So it's like, would be one
the other
And this
jungler,
is
right?
just between the players in Group C.
Yeah. So in the 3 games of the first
round,
round
what are our top laners? We got Ray, we have Impact, we have Smeb, and then Leon. I think Smeb
could also be Smeb.
Vastly outclasses everyone else.
But the experience difference this early on.
That's true.
And back to the jungle. Back to the jungle.
I'm on score. I'm on score personally.
Is it you, Cal?
Colder. Just give me a guess.
I mean, I could see a mid laner because like Pobelter played so poorly. So we're looking at.
But then you have Scout who had such a good game.
You, Cal.
I think it has to be Mata or Score.
You're all going to be wrong.
We're all going to be wrong.
This one
Not a KT
this one is
player?
unguessable.
Unguessable.
Why would you have an unguess? What is it?
Just
I said UCal.
yeah,
I mean, that's
score, and you
I'm
said
0% confidence.
it's Ole.
What?
Plus
What?
400 gold at 10, plus 658 XP at 10.
What is happening?
How is that?
It's because they kept getting, like, he took a first blood, the other support is dead, he stays in lane.
You're right.
There's
he
a
had
turret
that.
dive, he stays in
He had that
lane.
game where he had like
Everyone gives
4.
him
He picked
XP.
up like 3 or 4 of the early kills, and he wouldn't hand
Ole
them over.
in the first 10 minutes.
Okay, that was good.
Beast. Okay,
All
question
right.
2. This champion in group stage has been picked 6 times and won all 6.
Sivir.
Lucian.
All the group.
Sivir.
Give you
Oh,
a hint.
Sivir.
Sivir.
Only a 21%
Sivir.
ban percentage. He says Sivir.
Sivir has won a lot of games.
I know she was 5 wins out of 5 plays, so as long as she was
And
played
then
one more time,
Flash Wolves picked her yesterday and beat G2.
then she's 6-6.
You know
Or
what?
6 of 6.
I'm with Dash right
Let's
here.
go.
You convinced me, even though you might be wrong.
But you believe me.
The way you deliver this, I believe you.
I think Lucian's only been played 4 times, so I'm gonna have to
That's
go
a
with
loss.
Sivir. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an undefeated champion, and his
feeling it.
name is Lee Sin.
What?
6 picks.
I trusted you.
0
Okay,
losses,
but
21
just
picks.
out of curiosity,
Yeah.
can somebody hit me with the Sivir stats?
I did say the 21% pick ban. I actually don't know if Sivir is undefeated.
Yeah,
You
somebody
didn't
hit me with the Sivir
double-check
stats.
your
Yeah, just out of
Jack
curiosity.
This one is correct. Question number 3. This Group C jungler has the highest jungle proximity percentage of all players at Worlds, while still being plus 4.7 CSD at 10. So, ganks more than anyone else.
Like early kills, and I think he's also been able to invade a little bit after he's actually managed to secure an advantage. Score, obviously, because
Or is-
score.
Kongya is the
I was
best
about to say, I think it
player
could be Kongya.
on
He's
Mad
also been
Team.
active.
I think it
Yeah.
could be Kongya.
And
You know
then-
what? I think it could be anyone but Clearlight.
It's definitely anyone but
Clearlight's not doing anything.
Okay, I'm gonna go Kongya. I like that call.
Yeah, Mad
I'm going
Team.
next Smithy.
I think you guys got faked out when it was unexpected with Ole because it's score. It's the
Ah!
best jungler at the World Championship who ganks all the time and is still up in
So
CS.
if Jat ever decides to move away from like League of Legends casting or
Yeah.
analysis, I feel like he'd be great at designing game shows, like game show
It's
questions,
true.
like the mental game that he plays, where he trains you into thinking
Yeah.
one way about his
Unexpected.
questions, and then right
Super
at the
obvious.
end, exactly, it just goes the other way.
We could also prep a little bit more, you know.
That's
but
also true.
We're kind of like,
Probably could try a little more hard, do a little more homework. All right, well, we're stepping away. When we return, we'll dive into some of the key pocket picks so far at Worlds and tell you what Team Liquid needs to do if they want to upset KT. So don't touch that browser.
这一年确实比较艰难吧。
Edward Gaming finally fell off the expectations of LPL, hit reality, and reminded everyone that, hey, you know, we just barely qualified in the World Championship.
突破小组赛就是可能就能体现出我们这一年努力的价值。
Maker though with a follow-up pulse, might turn it back around for EDG. They're going in for a tap with a massive shuffle.
现在我们现在记录是0胜3败，我们一定要赢接下来的3场。
They sacrificed a lot to come together, but they did it to win. They did it for a stage like this.
롤드컵 우승이 목표이기 때문에 저희가 그냥 강력한 모습을 보여줘야 된다고 생각해요.
Xmidi gets chunked down. Somebody here keeps him alive a few seconds longer. Long-range death sentence.
We haven't played at the level that I think we should be. I feel like we haven't even played half as well. First game that we play on Elimination Day is KT. Are we gonna actually play our game?
TL looked very hesitant to do anything.
It's like life or death. If we lose a game, it might be over for us right there.
Damage ready.
We'll see where that next fight happens. With 5 turrets having been taken now between the two teams, it's only one outer turret left standing. It is that bot lane outer for KT that has not yet fallen down. Still only 1,000 gold separating the two squads here. Next Elemental Drake will be Mountain number 2. That's coming up in about 70 seconds or so here. As you can see, items coming online across the board. Storm Razors for 80 carries. The Gunblade's been up on the Akali here for a while. Black Cleaver onto Urgot. Sunfire Cape on the Scion. We're starting for everyone's builds to take shape.
And speaking of builds, I want to zoom in on Score once again, because what we learned from watching a lot of Blabber versus Urgot is, do you consider the QSS, or do you just play back as the Kindred? Because there's a very big disadvantage not being able to be in attack range most of the time. If you don't go QSS, you kind of have to be a backliner and mostly play around the Xayah, maybe around the Thresh as well. If you go QSS, you can be more brazen about front footing or frontlining as the Kindred. So that's kind of an interesting duality to consider.
Plus, considering Score only has 2 marks in this game, still has a ways to go before he can get the extra range on Kindred to make that interaction much easier to play out. In the team fights, ideally in this stance, he wants another member of his team to be on the receiving end of the Urgot ultimate, so then he can ult his team member instead of him being the one that gets pulled in, because he could not self-ult. It is going to be so much about Ray, though. We have to talk this guy up. Going back to EDG, he's the guy on the Urgot. His ult is so impactful for these team fights. It can be used to try and execute a member of the frontline as well, keeping in mind Score's positioning as well as the AoE fear.
I mean, the big fight that EDG won earlier, the fight that 4 of their current 6 kills came from, it was Ray's fear that made it happen and set all of that up. EDG now grouped up as one large unit, thinking about this Drake, thinking about the entire area of control around it. Smeb looking to flex those muscles, walk forward a little bit here. Hook's gonna go out, here comes your fight. Mako with the initiation, Lamb's despite, immediately gonna be dropped down. Death goes into Featherstorm, keeping himself alive. He's gonna be getting away, but fear beyond death will bring him back. Ray goes on a rampage as Scout manages to grab himself one, getting himself out to the side. Both summoner spells expended as the rest of EDG is gonna be on the run. But it's 3 going the way of UCal, and KT have their fight.
UCal once again, daddy status just slams through the fight. Yes, they get so much damage onto Xayah, but the early Kindred ultimate into UCal having all of the soul fragments meant that he had deletion damage on the back end.
So difficult there for the Squishy members to survive early on, and Ray did find the ultimate onto Depth even after the Kindred ultimate. Let's take a look at it from start to finish though, because it was a death sentence from Mata that actually caused Rakan to go for this engage. There's the early ultimate from Score. Depth does get back onto it, but Ray doesn't care. He attaches the ultimate, so even after when the flash goes off, he can pull him back in. And that is the start of the DPS killing.
But it just feels like UCal as a Fiddlesticks actually crow-storming in the middle of the fight, because there's so much AoE control. Knows this range, just gets the flash, ult, and Q. That was the back end, and that's why KT actually stick the landing.
One of the benefits of playing Swain, sometimes your opponents will be deterred from going for the Swain, so you just get to sit in the middle, put out all of this AoE damage. He also kept his flash available the entire time, so he was able to finish off of iBoy. And KT Rolster now 2,000 gold ahead, plus evening up the Mountain Drake count.
And it just felt like a battle of the mid laners the first time these two teams met. That was resoundingly won, you'd have to say, by UCAL. This one's been a lot more even in the early game, but those sort of team fights can really separate open when the game is there to be won.
And man, I gotta give so much credit to UCAL. You already mentioned how he's only 17 years old. He's the new player coming into this roster of veteran names, of these known elements of Korean League of Legends, and he is just stepping up like a seasoned pro.
Let's talk about something that's ultra Korean League of Legends, jungle and mid lane duos. Dandy and Mata, of course, the most we're very famous for the jungle and spot, but jungle mid has always been there. Benki and Faker, for example. UCAL is 17. His jungler, who we affectionately call Old Man Score, the oldest player here at 26. 9 years different. You must know that in Korean culture, it's all about following your elder. Sometimes UCAL's play dictates what KT do.
Yeah, UCAL himself is the youngest player. So KT Rolster have the full age range of every player here at Worlds. And it is showing up pretty big here because now they have such a good hold, they can actually reset completely. You've seen them got back to base. They're collecting their control wards to put back down and laying them out right down the river pretty much.
I also want to point out the Zhonya's Hourglass on UCAL. With that item fully completed, that means his ability to run into those fights and be that Crowstorm Fiddlesticks type of element is so very powerful. Active items can make such a difference in terms of how a team fight plays out. We'll see how much value he gets out of that one. Stopwatch is also available on both the Xin Zhao of Haro and the Scion of Smeb. So keep an eye on them to also be able to drop aggro in these upcoming fights. Baron is alive, and you're going to see KT try to maintain vision control over the area.
Intelligence of the drop from KT is that neither the Scion nor the Swain are really food for the Akali in the side lane. So it's been much more about team fights than Akali comp usually wants. Speaking of Akali,
she might be the food.
Akali trying to get herself away from this one. Scout's putting up one hell of a fight, though, but 1 versus 2 is not a fight anybody wants to take on. 1 versus 5 is even worse. Scout does a good job getting himself away, but EDG looks like they still want to go in and make something happen. Here goes Mako looking to find the knockup. There's your damage. Fear Beyond Death will grind that Scion into pieces.
And even with Score's ultimate, Ray pulls him past the edge here. They find the kill onto the front line. Now is EDG's window. 30 seconds without the Scion for KT, and they head right in towards Baron.
For this tournament, it was a little bit too greedy from KT. There were too much see hero, kill hero style of approach there. Meant they were so out of position, and no one could back up the Scion.
Because it is the top laner who does have teleport, you don't want to rush into anything off of that single kill. However, establishing vision around the Baron is an objective in itself. That is step number 1 and critical here for the setup. You can see now they can reset and get back out onto the field.
KT has had every Baron in every one of their games so far, which granted is 1 Baron per game because KT ends games very quickly and very effectively. They've also had first turret in every game they've played so far. It's part of this team's incredible objective control and general gameplay, but as we've gone through this game, every time I've looked up at the top of the screen and said, oh, I should probably check in on the gold now and see how big the lead is becoming, it seems like we've had some shifts back and forth. It's always 1,000 gold between these two. It's such a close game.
There's so many worlds where if you really pore over the stats, you get the full picture, but this is the year that all those stats, all those memes, all that history is being rewritten. We already had a Korean team crash out of groups not 2 days ago. There's a very realistic chance that EDG can keep up the tempo, can keep outplaying by the slimmest of margins in team fights and take down this game and get that confidence moving on to the later games.
Even with the LPL overall not having a good win record versus LCK historically, it does feel like this is the year for change. 5-17 historically, but EDG can write their own history now.
It's Worlds, baby. Anything can happen as Scout gonna find himself in a 1 versus 1 against UCAL yet again. Last time, those odds didn't stay very fair, very long. Scout's trying to get himself away. Pops off the Gunblade, looking to stay alive, but Dev says, no, sir. The hunter has become the hunted, and KT pick up 1 for free.
We drifted.
Looking at Smeb in there. Deja vu, can he find somebody else? Decimating Smash won't decimate anything, but KT's on the way to Baron.
And this time around, they've killed off a solo laner that does not have teleport, so I do expect them to go for at least a little bit of a bait here. There is no vision for EDG.
Here's what we prepared earlier, says KT, so EDG got to go headstrong and face check. They know they're on it.
5-man strong from KT in the Baron pit. EDG looking to fight up against one. Mata's going to be taken down below half HP. EDG just trying to buy time. They don't want a 4 versus 5 fight. They just want to keep them away, and they'll succeed.
Extremely tactical stop right there from EDG. They're able to poke on the Baron, force KT to react without getting themselves caught. Very, very critical window. Scout is now alive and coming back out to the Dragon.
KT had everything set up for a Baron except a way to make the Xin Zhao predictable if he tried to come around the back. They knew his flash was up. They had to respect that. That was almost a wombo combo of a pick into a perfect Baron setup, but that last variable stopped them finishing it.
And at that point, they had already used the Sion ultimate down mid, so the only way for them to pick someone off from EDG coming to stop that Baron was a death sentence from Mata, and that was avoided.
And a while ago, I commented on the state of the game and the status of the turrets and what had been taken. EDG trying to push up that minion wave to eliminate this remaining outer turret on the side of KT, but will fall just short. And KT now have themselves set up in a priority position over the Infernal Drake as EDG move back out onto the map into the mid lane. They'll move towards Baron now to set up some vision over that, but they definitely won't be able to attempt any sort of a sneak. While KT is occupied, they've already got that Infernal.
We'll get some vision cleared, but I've been noticing some fun style choices from UCAL early in this tournament. We're going for the Medjais very early. Spellbinder means a bit of turbo Swain action as EDG lie in wait for the potential flank.
EDG want to come in from the side and make this play happen. There they go, seeing if maybe they can find some sort of a knockout. My boy's already grabbing the kill on to score. KT's in trouble. UCAL's going to go unstoppable, finding the kill on to Mako. Mata's going to be taken down next. KT's on the run. Smith trying to get himself out of this one. UCAL going to go into the stasis. There's no way out. It's the play that's killed him twice before at Worlds. And EDG, they turn it right back around. It's Rakan coming out from the side brush. It's EDG with the team fight, and it's EDG onto the Baron.
And that is going to be it. EDG will easily be able to pick this one up. What a lightning quick flank from Mako and the rest of EDG.
This is the play that SKT did to them last year. This is the play that Infinity Esports did to them this year. They have learned from it. They have been molded by it, and they unleash it on KT.
That mid lane brush, continually the thorn in the KT Rolster side, but now they have to remain calm and reset on the field for defense because EDG are coming for him. Haro with the flash in opens up the window for Mako to CC score from 100% to 0. That Kindred never got a chance to ult.
And that's when a plan comes together. Great flank timing. KT didn't ask the question of, hey, where is everyone from EDG? They didn't ask it serious enough, and I love how decisive Haro was, because he was skipping past the front line and going straight to the back.
Let me remind you, this is the LPL 3rd seed, had to work their way through play-ins versus KT Rolster, the #1 seed from the LCK. Favored team here at Worlds, and they are pushing them to the brink.
But seeds mean something till you get to Worlds, but after that they mean less. Remember EDG, yes, they haven't been able to convert at Worlds, but they are finally converting some of the things that have made them so dominant on the domestic stage into a very, very comfortable performance here. Game's not over, but a 5,000 gold, nothing to sniff at for EDG.
EDG, no strangers to the World stage, been here 5 consecutive times. So many previously as a #1 seed, but it's something about underdogs this year at Worlds. And now they still have 1 minute and 45 seconds left on this Baron. They are already pushing up towards the inhibitor turrets.
And let's not forget what this push, what that play, what this game means for EDG. It is a ticket to the quarterfinals. Winning this game means Team Liquid will no longer be able to catch them, and they will be the second team moving on from this group. We'll see now if a fight breaks out here around this top side tier 2. Ray's going to be the one who's not really too afraid of much of anything, keeping himself positioned in that upper brush. All 5 members of KT here on the defense, looking to see if maybe Mata can find something with a hook. Ray on the front line, not going to try to go in for anything. EDG is happy to grab their objective and back out.
Baron buff still for 1 more minute, but not going to be too much more conversion, you'd imagine. Most of the easy objectives around the map are down. Now we're getting to the hard stuff, the nitty-gritty of the inhibitor turrets and the inhibitors. EG will feel great about the scenario they come in. Can't help but look at UCAL and say there's still a team fight where KT could change the textbook.
There is a lot of gold on EDG's side, but you're right. There are a lot of stasis skills as well as delaying teamfight abilities for KT Rolster. As we mentioned, Sion still has a stopwatch of his own for Smeb on the front line. Plus, you can rely on the passive to get back up. Score trying to protect the back line with his own ultimate. Does not have a QSS still. Went for the Hex Streaker instead, which in this sort of scenario, I value so much the instant CC breaker to get your ultimate off and guarantee it rather than the small health shield of a Hex Streaker. Even though, yes, a Kali Burst is very scary, we'll see if it does end up mattering again for KT as they try and defend their base.
And it's one of those wombo combos of no QSS plus the map being controlled by the enemy team from behind. Feels like the Kindred has a very high, just no contribution to teamfight possibility. Marta takes the wrong hook, he dies instantly. Yes, there are other frontliners, but it feels like if EDG run at KT 10 times, they win way more than 5.
And especially now that they made 5,100 gold.
Oh boy!
From that Baron power play. I commented on how this game was so even. 1,000 gold, back and forth. Just back and forth, constantly on that teeter-totter of who's going to take the small lead, who's going to take it back. But now it's EDG firmly in the lead, almost 7,000 gold up. KT are getting pretty familiar with the sights, sounds, and scenery of their inhibitor turrets because going anywhere past those is so dangerous right now. Infernal Drake spawning in 30 seconds, and EDG control the map.
You know it's a bad game when you need a control ward to take your Raptors or control ward to take your walls. You need a control ward per camp, and that's not helping with the gold lead that KT just are staring at from the side of EDG. Every minion wave they push to, even where we're seeing UCAL on the screen, has a bit of percentage risk to it, but they need that gold because right now there's some nice items on the side of EDG.
And EDG about to get themselves their own Infernal Drake here and even that count up as well.
This is just a donation for them, a supply drop. They get this one for free, no way to contest it if you're KT Rolster. So another 8% on top of what is already some very nice items. And now for KT, they hope that maybe a Baron repel is the only way they can stay in this game.
Exactly. EDG still collecting the rewards for that last team fight victory around mid lane.
Games of League of Legends can be won and lost in the Baron pit. EDG, 2 minutes before that Baron becomes live, a little bit under that now. They'll look to establish a lot of vision over the area. And remember, this is a team that has Urgot, Akali, and Kai'Sa. If KT cannot get out onto the map and contest it quickly, it will drop incredibly fast to the damage on this EDG squad. And then KT is just playing a harder version of the game that they've been playing already for the last 5 minutes.
And let me tell you, this game state for KT before the second round robin of Summer was just GG. Their ability to come from behind was something that was really dogging them. It's why they were pipped at the post so many times, trying to get to Worlds, trying to win the LCK before summer season. They found some poise. They've made some miraculous comebacks, but you can't help but look at EDG's side and say they are in full control of this game, and it will take a super play from one of the KT members to turn it around.
2018 at Worlds has certainly favored the teams with no fear. The teams willing to take the fight to their enemies regardless of standings. And talking about that team fight for Score, it hasn't gotten any better. He is still only 3 marks on this Kindred, 35 minutes into the game, still not access to the extra range.
And we talked so much about KT and how strong this team had been so far at Worlds and the incredible performance they had put on. And this situation they're in right now, at least on the world stage this year, is very unfamiliar territory. Throughout the first round robin, here's a stat for you. KT was in a major lead 66% of the time.
That's
a major deficit, 0.1%.
0.1%. So
we are the 0.1%.
It's seeming like that's true as they're on Baron this time fast.
EDG melting through it like butter, gonna take it down to about 1K. Who's gonna secure it? iBoys got it, and now KT are gonna be stuck in the fight. Mako looking to go in, find that quickness onto multiple members. Smith going to be taken down to half HP. EDG still haven't found the fight just yet. It's still going to be a bloodbath as Lamb's Respite will keep the entire squad of KT alive. EDG still going in. They should be able to find a few. Death's keeping himself alive. Ray's looking to take him down. Finds the shotgun into the blast. And the double kill reigns true. KT is ace. And EDG is heading for the base.
Complete domination from EDG. That is a clean ace. 5-4-0 with Baron buff to push afterwards. That is gonna be it.
2018 is a year of upsets, a year of surprises, and a year where anything can happen. KT will not find their 6-0 perfect group. They will not find their victory. And EDG will punch that ticket to the quarterfinals.
KT Rolster gave them their best shot, but their best shot was found wanting. Deserved victory for EDG. Their fans applaud. They've shown something. KT will say, doesn't matter, we're already in the quarterfinals, but being on the back foot like this is never the way you want to go.
Both of the favorites coming to Worlds here. #1 seed from LPL and #1 seed from LCK, dropping games in group stage. And this is making 2018 look like it could be anyone's year.
And anyone can bleed is what we've learned. No one goes impervious, no one goes 6-0 unless Invictus Gaming tomorrow can pull it off. And that is an important thing because it means when we get to the quarterfinal stage, there's going to be plenty of seeds of doubt.
And I like the fact that you use the word seed there, Papa Smithy, because you already mentioned, once you get to Worlds, seeds don't mean as much. Let's not just say that the top 2 contenders for the title in a lot of people's minds have dropped games so far at Worlds. Let's make sure we put the extra detail on there. They've dropped games to teams that fought through the play-ins. Anyone can take down anyone else, it seems, if you've got the plan. And damn, did EDG have the plan.
Doesn't matter how you got here. It matters what you do when you get up on that stage.
Absolutely, but we've got our analysts ready to break down EDG's momentous victory. Take it away, Dash.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. EDG did not want to wait for the next game to lock in their quarterfinal spot, so they do it here against the #1 seed from the LCK, taking down KT Rolster.
And this is a huge moment for Edward Gaming. This is a true redemption storyline, and what kills me about this is the fact that it was with Haro. It wasn't with Clearlove.
True.
We did see Clearlove earlier on. They tried to get him back, get him some warm-up time, as they look ahead to best of 5s. Maybe they fall back on him, but this is Edward Gaming throwing away the past and embracing the future. This is what got them over the line to win 2 best of 5s, to even make it to this moment after their worst summer split of their entire organization's history. And I'm so glad that they fell back, they took the trust fall, and they took down KT today.
And especially when historically they have been labeled as chokers. We spent so much of last game's post-game looking forward to the TL versus EDG decider, but we did mention at the end of that segment that that was the backup plan.
Right.
Because the primary plan should be to go after that first seed, which now they still have the chance to do since they are 1-1 against KT and could both be 5-1 at the end of the day.
Very much so. What excited me about this game was the fact that even after the traded kills in the early game, eventually this game just came down to the team fights and who would execute on it better, and what better way to watch 2 teams duke it out essentially for a first seed than that. I want to work our way through the game though to those team fight phases, so let's start rolling through the clips.
Yeah, obviously coming into team fights, one of the things we were looking at would be the bot lanes against each other, Death versus iBoy. In the early game when you have Xayah, Thresh, you want to get ahead, and they also had the early gank from Score where he surprises iBoy in the brush. But even after this kill, iBoy actually stayed slightly ahead of Death. And when you do that with with Kai'Sa plus Rakan, you're setting yourself up to really succeed later. Because that's the draft you go for in bot lane when you want strong late game, not strong early game. And that was super impressive by the bot lane from EDG.
Yeah, and the fact is that even Uzi himself, who is pretty much the international Kai'Sa player after his performance at MSI, has moved away from the Kai'Sa. He grabbed it the other day, lost the game, then he started moving towards the Lucian, the Kai'Sa. He's like, I need to win the lane phase. Whereas Edward Gaming keep locking this champion in. And I frankly don't know how iBoy sits and stays in his seat with balls that big to lock in Kai'Sa across from the likes of Mata and Deft.
Well, we get another fight right here. This was actually where KT started falling behind. They took the Riftel fight without ultis on a lot of the different members. Kindred ulti is on cooldown, as you guys can see. The Sign ult was on cooldown when the fight started. Ooh. And that's what I love about EDG. They go for the fight. This is what I can then sometimes dislike about EDG. Sadly for Scout, he gets hit just outside. It actually looked like he was just outside the hitbox of the Sign Q, but he got hit anyway. And then they give over a couple of kills, but it is so even still at this point.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. The name of the game here at the World Championships in 2018. But as Kobe said, it is a tournament that has seemed to favor the aggressors, the ones who say, we're not afraid of our opponents, we'll keep running straight at you.
Especially in this team composition, so many Kindred ults that were ineffective. Either they could pull the Kindred out of the ultimate, hurricane everyone down with iBoys. We saw some later fights when they were in the Kindred ultimate. And it was eventually enough to overpower the Swain, which was looking like it was getting pretty strong.
But look how close these fights are. Already here around 20 minutes. We didn't even get to the big late game ones yet.
Yep.
And that's what really excites me, is that EDG, the 3rd seed from China against the #1 seed from Korea, can battle it out like this, constant fights. And the fact that their first phase was Kai'Sa, Urgot, Akali in the draft phase as well was just insane, because they managed to really succeed with these picks. And then you have the Engage coming in. Xin Zhao plus that Rakan that was supposed to fall behind early but didn't. Then you do this.
And the thing is you've seen this play a million times with Edward Gaming in the game, but it's usually EDG that are getting blown up right here. And so the fact that I think Flowers called it in the game, that for once Edward Gaming learned from their mistakes and they were able to set the trap and then spring it. Now, there were some individual mechanical errors from KT this game that I don't think happened twice. Mata in particular on his Thresh wasn't nearly as impressive as we had seen earlier on in the day. You know, not hitting the hook right there means that Scout can go into the backline pretty much undisturbed.
This was a close fight as well, but you start to get a sense of the outscale.
Yeah, I mean, flashing in as well, knowing he has the GA and just having reckless abandon in that fight as the Kindred ultimate was expiring, I think set up so much. Obviously, Ray, totally unstoppable juggernaut this entire game. And we mentioned all these team fight outplays, but where they used to get beaten by KT, they were good enough this game so that they could outplay them in the team fights, because this wasn't that situation where KT had all the vision and was always able to pick the right fights. So that's where I feel like EDG really stepped up so their team fighting could shine.
Well, MasterCard Player of the Game goes to Ray this time around, stepping up the most out of the 5 members, who of course stepped up across the board.
Yeah, his Urgot already from the early game was actually insane, and we see again why Urgot is considered such a top pick, because in team fights, your goal is so often to actually just walk in the middle of the enemy team, select one target, and your team will then go for that same target you put the ulti on.
And reminder that, you know, Edward Gaming from Blue Side banned the Aatrox and didn't priority pick the Urgot. They priority picked Kai'Sa, and the response was the Xayah Kindred coming out of KT.
Right.
So they had the option that they could have denied the Urgot. It felt like they were betting on Smeb, they could give this pick away, and that he would be able to survive the matchup and be more impactful with the Scion.
Yeah, it definitely felt like KT in the first phase decided to say, we want the strong bot lane that actually won against EDG last time, and we can do the same thing again. Snowball on iBoy, who's first picking Kai'Sa, get the early lead, and then never let EDG get to a point where they can actually get into late game team fights. The problem again was they didn't do it. They fell behind early in CS, had to get the gank from score, didn't give them a big enough lead, and when that didn't actually work for KT, you end up in your first phase looking a little bit foolish when you trade Akali, Urgot, Kai'Sa for Kindred and Thresh on the other side.
All right, but now I want to kind of look ahead towards the rest of the day, because with this, the 2 teams here tied at 4-1. 1 game left to play in the regulation matches. If they both get those expected wins, EDG over TL coming up next, and KT over Mad Team at the end of the day, they play again for the first seed in this group.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we do have to note is that TL's not going through to the quarterfinals.
Correct.
4th year in a row, the NA #1 seed doesn't make it through to the quarterfinals, but they can play spoiler, right? Prior to this game, we were looking forward to the EDG versus TL, wondering what would happen. Now you're obviously favoring EDG, but it's not over, right? Depending on what TL wants to do. So that's not a free game for them. And they need to not skip it and think, sorry, I'm messing up my words. They can't look over this game because they will still have to beat KT again to reach their ultimate goal of first place.
We might actually get 3 Chinese teams as first seeds. If EDG can now beat TL and do exactly what they just did against KT, in that tiebreaker at IG tomorrow, of course.
This is actually really important for LPL fans because EDG are known as the Chinese killer, where they are so good against domestic Chinese teams, but they always choke on the international stage. So LPL fans, probably super behind EDG. They get their redemption storyline, but there's always that tiny voice that if they pop out in second seed and just run into RNG or Invictus Gaming, EDG have such a great record against domestic teams.
Assuming we get that tiebreaker game, though, is there any chance KT allows those kinds of picks to go over to EDG again?
I don't think so. I think they see the importance of not letting Ray run away with the game. I feel like Urgot, Aatrox are the two most perfect champions for Ray.
Right.
They just can't let that happen again, especially into a tank.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. EDG return to the stage as they play for seeding going into their match against Team Liquid. Game 5 kicks off after the break.
First blood over to KT Rolster, looking to find some more if they can. Mako's going to be taken very low. Can they finish him off? Decimating smash will find it. Ray now looking to find something else. Score's already been shot to pieces, but there comes a three-man fear. Mata drops next. It's a double kill over to Highboy. Death goes into Featherstorm, keeping himself alive. He's going to be getting away, but fear beyond death will bring him back. Ray goes on a rampage as Scout manages to grab himself one, getting himself out to the side. Both summoner spells expended as the rest of EDG is going to be on the run. But it's three going the way of UCal. There they go, seeing if maybe they can find some sort of a knockoff. Highboy's already grabbing the kill on to score. KT's in trouble. UCal's going to go unstoppable, finding the kill on to Mako. Mata's going to be taken down next. KT's on the run. Spets trying to get himself out of this one. UCal's going to go into the stasis. There's no way out. Death's keeping himself alive. Ray's looking to take him down. Finds the shotgun into the blast. And the double kill reigns true. And EDG will punch that ticket to the quarterfinals.
Welcome to Assist of the Week, presented by State Farm. Since we know the importance of lending a hand, we want to highlight players and plays that help the team bring home the big W. If you have a favorite assist from this week that you want us to highlight, tweet the clip with the hashtag StateFarmAssist, and we may feature it in a future episode. So get out there and bring some support.
Welcome back for Game 5, where Team Liquid will have their final game of Worlds here versus LPL's EDG, who just had an incredible victory over KT Rolster.
And that's the reality, is that Team Liquid, because of that EDG victory, are eliminated. But this part of spoiler has been played pretty aptly by Fengfu Buffalo yesterday, not so aptly by my boys Gen G the day before. So let's see how we go today, because we got two potential spoilers here. If there is to be an upset, if EDG and KT don't win out, then the tiebreaker is off.
Yeah, Team Liquid could make this day much more difficult for EDG. If they win here, then of course it would be up to KT Rolster in the last game of the day. But even if they don't win here and push KT Rolster, or push EDG to show a lot on the field, then it would also further prepare KT for the rematch.
And we talked a little bit about seeds last game, and it is very important to keep in mind how the seeding will affect your performance going into quarterfinals, because we've already seen two of the teams locked into first seed, RNG and the Afrika Freaks. Definitely two squads that have proven themselves so far, and to avoid playing against one of those could be a big deal going into quarterfinals.
And what I want to see TL avoid, because they are actually replacing KT on the red side against EDG, is avoid the scenario where the Akali Urgot really dominated the draft phase for EDG, because that flex pick forced KT to an awkward situation. They had to take champions that could lane against both, and splitting the difference actually hurt KT overall in their cohesion. So some bans levied to that might be a good idea.
Yeah, they're already going to avoid the Kai'Sa situation. iBoy obviously very comfortable on that champion. But the Shen, I think, is a very good ban from EDG against Team Liquid as well, providing one of those tanks with the cross-map mobility.
They're also going to take out the Tahm Kench, getting rid of some more of that map-wide mobility. Aatrox also banned out by EDG, while Team Liquid says, you know what, that Akali, we're not dealing with that.
One of those pick your poison situations, because Alistar is open through all of this. If they do choose to ban the Urgot looks like the clear-cut ban because of how strong Ray's performance was in the previous game. He finally looked to be flexing his muscles, but we see another contender for the bans as the Aurelia has to be taken out.
And it looks like that's just Team Liquid saying, all right, you can have Urgot if you want him, but we'll take Alistar if you don't.
Exactly, and it's going to be up to Impact. Well, not exactly,
okay,
my friend.
This is why I'm not an analyst.
It is the lovers duo, Doublelift and Olay, Zyra Khan, bottom lane.
They broke up for a while, but now they're back together.
And the hindsight analysis is, well, we can't play with the Aurelia. We don't want to play against it. No Aurelia in this video game was actually what they wanted to deal with, maybe easing Pobelter in some of those tricky Aurelia matchups.
But now, that Alistar that I mentioned, that pick that's been so popular, that most banned support over the course of Worlds 2018, he's going to the same side that also got Urgot.
We definitely got some tier list struggles going on with the Urgot and Alistar put together for one of the few times in recent days of Worlds. We'll see where they go from here, and they're going for a lane-busting duo with the Lucian.
Yeah, this looks very good for EDG. Alistar and Urgot on the front lines. We've already seen in the previous game Ray, exceptional performance on that Urgot, and now they are going to have possibility, with Lucian Alistar going right to the Zyra Khan.
Lucian Alistar, such a scary lane to go up against. The aggro potential between those two is just huge, as Team Liquid jokes around a little bit, hovers around the Teemo, but instead they'll lock in the Syndra as their final pick of the first round of the draft here.
Yeah, that seems to be what the protection ban of Aurelia was for, trying to set Pobelter up with the Syndra. However, there are going to be some more options they need to take off the table. Things like LeBlanc, maybe even you feel like you need to get the Echo or something out of there facing Scout, because Scout is definitely a guy that will look to play an assassin, try and kill that Syndra in the laning phase even.
And if you're Pobelter, I think you focus on the combative champions rather than, say, the tanky champions that can lane through a Syndra. I think you definitely deprioritize something like a Galio ban and just deal with these kind of potential kill matchups like the LeBlanc. And they've already obliged. LeBlanc is gone. We knew already the Aurelia and Akali have been dealt with. We'll see where the final ban goes if there's another pick that Pobelter just isn't sure that he can get through.
Well, Edward Gaming don't want to deal with Ornn in the top lane there from Impact. They're saying Urgot can smash tanks around pretty easily, but Ornn's one of those tanks that just has such a massive impact in the game. We'd rather not deal with it, as Team Liquid is going to put one more ban towards that mid-game. Get rid of the Galio.
And I feel like I want to be greedy, because we haven't seen much Yasuo recently, guys, and that would be a fun one to see. Potential matchup. We've seen Rookie do good things against it, but largely a skill matchup and one that Yasuo can, of course, win wall that ultimate.
Yeah, Yasuo, especially with the win wall, gets a lot of actual lane pressure against the Syndra. That does take into account junglers and how you're pathing around, of course, but it definitely is a possibility along with the Echo. We're trying to come up with these melee assassins for him because that is the type of mentality we have going into this game. Meanwhile, Team Liquid, they need to secure for themselves something for the front line. This team does not do well when they don't have a point man with a lot of HP, some crowd control for the front side to work around. Even though they have the Rakan, which is quick engage, they need some beef.
May I present to you Sion,
the biggest meatball in League of Legends.
He even gets more beef with all the buffs recently, so.
And with his W passive text literally just reads bigger meatball.
Let's just hope his drifting is on point, because Impact, of course, had some struggles with that earlier in the tournament. Not necessarily a true engaged champion, but he's got a Rakan potential for Syndra, so not going to be necessarily shouldering everything. Let's see how EDG rounds out the draft. Need a jungler in this second round.
Along with the jungler, they also need that other solo laner, and it will be the Lissandra. And of course, I do have to point out, you could still see swaps between the solo lanes. Urgot can go mid, Lissandra can go top. That is a thing that could happen if they decide to do it, but let's see what they go for in the jungle here.
Yeah, I do like the Lissandra into the Syndra. It's not quite as exciting as these assassins we were talking about with, you know, Echo and Yasuo possibilities, but Lissandra can self-ultimate if she immunes the last half of the Syndra ultimate when the balls start to fly, or also set up kills with, you know, the engage that she does have.
And EDG can play junglers like the Taliyah when it's not Clear Love in the lineup, when it's Haro, who does fit the meta junglers a little bit stronger. A lot of point-and-click CC. Lissandra, of course, very easy. Alistar and Urgot and other lanes. Definitely the sort of game where the Taliyah can prosper.
Haro has been such an important addition to Edward Gaming for me. This guy just completely jump-started their early game, and he can definitely look to do it here. Taliyah does need some more levels in her threaded volley, the Q nowadays, to have the same output, but you do have possibilities of crowd control if you can set it up with something like, say, Alistar or Lissandra. You know, hold someone in place, then get the seismic shove. Those are very reliable combos.
And when you look at the Nocturne, that of course has been a power pick, when it comes to people to dive on, not as clear cut against a comp like EDG's. The solo laners, Urgot and Lissandra, you're staying away from them. Alistar's going to be goaltending away from the Lucian. Feels like almost the Taliyah is the modus operandum here for the Nocturne, because otherwise can be tricky to actually pull the trigger.
Oh, absolutely. And if you go in, if you have some sort of a mistiming or a miscommunication, you're going to be dead pretty quickly against a roster like what EDG has picked for themselves. And we even heard from earlier in the day from Doublelift that Liquid has struggled communicating. It's been an issue for this team, especially, as he said, on bigger stages, where it seems like everybody's just not playing for the team together. But here, it is their last game on the World's 2018 stage. They have effectively been eliminated now, and what they want to do is play spoiler to EDG. Walk out of this one with their heads held high, 3-3 record, take the win here and say, you might have beat us, but you got to play against somebody really, really strong going into quarterfinals.
Fair enough. Team Liquid playing for some pride, playing for another win on the board. And let's get into the game, my friends. Summoner's Rift coming up quick.
And this is definitely not the sort of game where we're going to discount EDG's chances or TL's chances when it comes to just this one-on-one best of one. It was definitely the one TL fans were looking at the end of the day as a potential victory. Of course, much has changed since then. EDG is coming off that ultra high of taking down KT. But Team Liquid, we're talking about this playing the spoiler. Playing the spoiler, playing for pride, has lifted people to some very impressive performances this tournament. So I want to see if TL can find some nice advantages, especially when Nocturne hits 6.
EDG's coming off a win over KT. Liquid also won their last match against Mad Team, which feels good for them. We'll see who can continue that into a 2-0 win streak. As now Ole is going to stand on a ward here in the brush. Everybody's just sort of chilling out for now. Level 1. Sometimes in a game like this where one team doesn't really have anything to lose, you might see something crazy at level 1, but Team Liquid doesn't want to opt into that this time around. Instead, they'll just hang out.
Yeah, and in hanging out, they still have to deal with deep vision from EDG. EDG have gotten wards on both buffs here, so they will see everything about the Team Liquid start. There's the one on the blue buff that Team Liquid know about. They threw out the couple of autos, couldn't finish it in time, and Xmithie will start topside.
There's not many jungle starts where not just going for a shallow ward around the spawn of the Rift Scuttler is the modus operandum or the normal thing to do, but in this particular case, I guess because Taliyah will always have a very significant advantage in trading early, level 2, level 3, they're happy enough just to know which side of the jungle the start is, and then we can track Haro's movement around the map in response to that.
We know Taliyah can move around the map very quickly. She can farm up very safely. Gets a little bit low early on when that first clear, but after that, it's pretty easy for her to just take down all those camps with no real effort extended.
All right, something that you should note when playing against Xayah Rakan, the level 2 all-in engage, incredibly scary. So, you know, Ole and Doublelift pushing up here. Mako and iBoy are respecting it. The champions just work so well when they buff up each other, giving each other attack speed there. The damage output definitely very threatening.
A lot of respect. They actually went Ardent Blaze level 1 on the Lucian just to check brush and potentially snipe away a minion without pushing the wave too hard.
So Ardent Blaze has actually become the most common start for Lucian as well because it has such a high base damage for level 1.
Speaking of base damage.
Yeah, that's not a situation you want to be in. Impact gets the really bad end of the trade there.
Yeah, and they both have Corrupting Potions to chug, so he should be able to back off here. There are actually a lot more minions for him to get. So even though Impact, taking the beating as far as the health bar goes, could collect more money than Ray.
Xmithie will just clear out the crab here on the bottom side. That gets him to level 3 here on the Nocturne.
Double Scuttle actually picked up here by the Nocturne of all things, even with the vision advantage. So Haro went super defensive and the full clear on the bot side cost him a lot, as seeing a bit of trading down bot.
EDG thinking about going for a fight here. Everybody is level 2 in the bottom lane. Remember, there was so much focus on the bottom lane last game between EDG and KT. iBoy and Mako are no strangers to getting scrappy early on.
Yeah, early levels Taliyah just trying to, you know, clear out the jungle camps here. Doesn't want to walk into a Nocturne. It's very difficult to land, you know, the combo, especially considering the spell shield. And Haro has been able to clear out almost a full clear here. We'll be able to reset and go back to purchase, feeling much more confident. During this time, though, Pobelter on the Syndra, trying to push in on Scout, gotten a lot of harassment down as well, giving him this lead in health potion charges as well as CS.
If you're not going in aggressive against the Syndra, you're just getting outranged and out-traded. Much harder to go for those conditional Q trades as the Lissandra compared to Syndra with the outrange. So definitely in the early levels, Syndra very comfortable.
Very big thing too for Pobelter, just personally, him on the world stage has constantly been looking to prove himself, especially following MSI. So having a strong performance here will go a long ways.
And when you talk about strong performances on Team Liquid, throughout the regular season, throughout normal play in the North American LCS, somebody that always comes up as one of their consistent players, one of those rocks that keeps the team going, is Xmithie in the jungle. But so far here at group stage, Xmithie has actually had a very subpar performance compared to what he normally does. He is second to last in jungle proximity. He is very low in kill participation at 15, and he's still in the bottom half when it comes to farming up. He hasn't been able to make anything happen, while Haru is able to get himself into the bottom lane and blow some summoners.
You'll be happy with the flash trade support for AD carry, but it's not double flash, not multiple summoners here. So in terms of that unscouted gank, it actually goes pretty decently for TL.
Yep, Haru going to be able to go in, invade, lay down a ward afterwards. Team Liquid should definitely know that there is one there, though. And this is something you should note for professional games, tracking where the enemies have been and where the probable wards that they have left behind, so that you can play around it afterwards. Now we can see Xmithie finished up the Krugs on the Nocturne, and he is heading down here along with Pobelter, actually with the idea that Haro is still there.
Probably looking to contest the Scuttle as well. I imagine Xmithie's pretty close to level 6. Won't be getting the Scuttle, though.
Haro's already got that one taken care of for himself and EDG. Xmithie has to back away from it. Haro is a little bit behind in experience, but as I already said, he got himself into bottom lane. He blew a summoner spell. He's affecting the lanes, which Xmithie still has yet to do.
And Haro also did the route red into Krug, so he's got a very early spawn of the second spawn of Krugs to rely on, so he can go farm that up very quickly and feel very nice about the scaling. Let's see, though, on a ward currently, Xmithie, they will know that he's still not level 6, so the bottom lane doesn't have to be too scared.
They're just getting huge, massive value out of this ward they placed down. It was expected, definitely communicated there was a ward somewhere, but with the control ward not spotting it over the wall, does end up with Xmithie finishing this camp, not quite 6 even after the double scuttle start. We'll continue, and we'll have that paranoia very soon.
And Nocturne is one of those champions that once you hit level 6, whenever the ultimate is off of cooldown, we want to see you looking for a play. It's such a powerful tool. It needs to be utilized early and often in order to truly succeed. We'll see what can happen once he gets there. But now bottom side, it's going to be plays coming out from ADG yet again. And first blood over to iBoy. They make it look easy.
Yeah, that was very quick. You barely even got to go along with the play-by-play, my friend. Alistar in, Ignite down, and Ole is dead. Also, the kill credit going over to iBoy for the Lucian funds his early game. This is going to be a big turnaround.
See, Nocturne topside here has ultimate.
Going after that enemy Urgot. Xmithie, can you make this one happen? Looks like it's going to be yes. Ray tries to flash, but it's ultimately just wasted. Good pickup there for TL.
And the war between the old teammates here, Impact and Ray. First blood in that little skirmish goes over to Impact as Xmithie is able to turn the tides. Let's see at the bottom, though. Ole was walking towards the brush and then only got to press the W there for a second, not getting close enough. Here it is, though. Xmithie uses the blast cone to get over the side and engage at the exact same time here from Impact.
It's all about your timings, the cross-map play happening. This is sort of punishment that we never saw in the previous game in the same matchup. So credit to TL finding something on the top side.
That flash was so wonky. I'm just going to throw that out there. That was not going to get Ray anywhere. Really don't think he should have expended that one there, but hey, he tried.
I mean, Impact kind of is the guy that Ray looked up to and trained with a lot in his time in the North American LCS. Definitely a lot of respect between those two guys, the sword and the shield.
Yeah.
In this one, the shield decided to call a Nocturne.
Yeah.
And that's how you beat the sword.
I didn't know there was a phone a friend option.
There absolutely is. The shield phones his friend the wristband, and they take down the sword together.
I wondered where you were going with that.
I was trying to think of something else that you would use in a fight that goes on your arm, and I thought of like a bracer or a guard or something else. All right, bracer's better than wristband. Wristband sounds like something you wear to get into a concert. All right, blue buff going to be taken low here. EDG trying to steal this one away. Helping Haro out on that. Smite secured by Xmithie, though. This man is known in North American LCS for his accurate smites, and that one's going to pay off.
Yep, Team Liquid do retain the gold advantage. Even after the first blood bonus did go over to iBoy in the bottom. It gave him most of his way towards the Blade of the Ruined King, but not quite there yet. Level 6s have started to come in. Ole, though, a little bit behind, of course, because he did go down. So Team Liquid don't have the option of the all-in. You can see Xmithie, though, on Nocturne's waiting for Ole to ding 6. So maybe just another minion, and they will go for the play.
Paranoia a couple of seconds away on the bot side. Well, we see Ole, who kept the summoners, remember.
Xmithie's just about ready. There we go. Here comes Team Liquid's 3 versus 2 play. They're still able to get their AD carry away on the side of EDG, and now the counterattack's coming in. Haro makes his way down here just to make sure the bottom lane is protected. Pobelter wanting to come around from the side, see if there's any follow-up, but EDG are going to back themselves away until the teleport is called in. It's going to be a 5-man bloodbath. Ray finds himself isolated right now. The Scion charges forward, but it's going to be Scout with the flash into the multiple person CC. Damage coming down onto the health bars of Team Liquid, but Scout's the first one to fall. Impact going to be taken below half, but now Mako has to retreat. A 2-man stun from Scout of the Week. iBoy tries to escape. The decimating smash isn't able to find him, but Ray will be the sacrificial lamb. Xmithie grabs that kill as Team Liquid manages to find the fight.
And they just crumble there. Scout with a big mistake on Lissandra. He went in and got the God initiation in the middle of Team Liquid, but he chose to offensively use his Lissandra ultimate. As soon as Pobelter sees that, he lets her rip with the Syndra ultimate, and they get the kill.
He puts his faith in the Aftershock proc with the armor and MR being enough to keep him alive, but it wasn't. Very extended Ace of Predator replay coming through in this one. I want you guys to watch also on Pobelter after the TP. Big Scout of the Week. From the start, though, the moment you saw iBoy open up with the Lucian ult. There was a bit of a crushing feeling from a TL perspective, but this one ends up coming up big for the North American first seed.
Yeah, EDG hungry to turn this one around. They love those big fights down bottom. Pobelter did push off Ray, and then Impact going for Ray also I thought was a mistake because Scout got this big initiation, but then he ults Doublelift because he saw Doublelift use his ult, but there's no team around Scout to follow up on that, and without his defensive ultimate, which by the way would have damaged the entire Team Liquid team, that allows Team Liquid, they turn it around, they clean up some kills, and they increase the gold lead.
And a shout out to Impact, who I think played his role on Sion very, very well. The first choice was to ult Ray out of the fight, and then was in the CC chain after Aftershock fell off of Scout in order to take down the Lissandra. So well played there, and the first meaningful movement in the gold lead goes the way of TL.
Very strong defense there from Team Liquid. They stay together, and they actually have this cohesive team fight, focusing down Scout and pushing it backwards. Now, with the turret down as well, they're well positioned to try and snowball this early game.
And I mentioned last game that despite the fact that in regular LPL play and in the play-ins, EDG was this early game team. So far in groups, they haven't really been that. This game, they're falling behind early as well. Team Liquid's going to secure themselves the Drake, and honestly, Team Liquid and Drake's has been a bit of a meme so far in groups.
With all their power, Captain Fire's TL is actually looking to contest this Rift. They're not giving up a free lane swap to the side of EDG.
Team Liquid definitely should have an offensive mind right now with the gold lead that they have, trying to set it up here. They run EDG off of the Rift Herald and continue to start it up themselves. With Ray in the bottom lane, they see him on minions. They should know 100% they have full autonomy on the top side.
Easy take here for Team Liquid. They'll secure the Shelly for themselves right after grabbing that Infernal Drake first and foremost. Neutral objectives going their way. Continues to bode well.
And if I'm an NA fan, I'm so happy to see TL understand their strong, understand where their bread is buttered, and say, actually, no, there's nothing free for you. We win in every 5v5 at this point in the game after our nice trades in the bot side. They don't give up any free objectives, and they only continue to increase their lead.
During that time, Ray was able to push the minion wave into the turret. A few minions denied, but Impact is able to arrive afterwards, and they've swapped Doublelift and Ole up to the top side here to try and continue on that pressure.
Lanes have gone topsy-turvy as those bottom lanes will set up shop there on the top side of the map. You can see farm pretty close between the top laners and the junglers. Mid lanes leading into about a 20 advantage towards the side of Pobelter over Scout on that Syndra, while bottom lane's pretty close as well. Mako taken very low, doesn't have to pop the ultimate or anything, but he'll definitely have to think about it next time he walks that close.
Yeah, and he'll continue to stay chunked out here. He does not have sustain up there, so that is going to be a very weak hold for EDG. Looks like Team Liquid, though, they are recalling the top side of the map and instead moving in for deeper vision around the red buff that's about to spawn. Impact has placed a control ward, and that might be what they're setting up for.
Deep vision is definitely what you want when you can combine it with the Rift Herald and also Nocturne's ability to pick up a pick. For now, nice triangle of control wards from EDG on their blue side means that no deep vision will actually stick there. Nocturne just clearing, I imagine, pretty close to level 11 coming up soon for Xmithie, who's much farther ahead on experience than some of his previous games.
Yeah, I criticized Xmithie for falling behind early in terms of golden experience while at the same time having a very low kill participation and jungle proximity. But so far in this game, he's not victim to either one of those things. 2-0 and 1 on the Nocturne, 100% kill participation so far for his team, as well as being up 15-20 CS, he's having a much better performance, which when you look at how Team Liquid wins, it's often through him making sure that he's facilitating everyone else.
And they are not damaging the top turret. They've actually made the call to rotate Ole and Doublelift down to make a Rift Herald play around mid lane. Impact joining as well means it's going to be 5 members trying to push this one through, but the Taliyah wall does cut them off.
Taliyah wall wants to stop them. Shelly's going to rear back and charge in. She won't take the turret down herself. It'll need a little bit more backup from Team Liquid. They can get in there and find those 2 auto attacks.
So they do take down the mid turret with their Rift Herald, immediately backing off though, not trying to overextend here as EDG did reactively collapse.
The last easy objective is going to be a tricky one with the wards we mentioned already on the blue side. Making
Ray goes
hard. Mid lane.
Now wants to go after Pobelter pretty hard here. Mako flashing forward into the headbutt, pulverized. Pobelter very low, very dead. Scout making sure of that one as EDG pushed 5 men strong into the mid lane.
What an answer from EDG, right back down Team Liquid's throats through the mid lane here. After they disperse, EDG are going to answer mid. Doublelift should be able to get top side though, since Team Liquid did fan out to push both side lanes. So top turret will take some damage. Smithy is counter jungling the Krugs on bottom side as well. And in the end, Team Liquid still will overall come out ahead in gold.
An even style trade in this scenario is something you'll take as EDG, and getting the mid lane turret down as their only turret does mean there's that chance for a Baron play, that chance for deep vision. For a playmaking, you want the mid lane turret down, and that's at least a small consolation for EDG.
Also for playmaking, EDG want a target. Pobelter on the Syndra now is the best target possible. He has no summoner spells left after this play. Here's the replay though. Use the cleanse, use the flash over here, but EDG had too many forms of initiation. Lissandra as well as Alistar eventually found him, and now he has to be very scared. No summoner spells available. He knows he is prime target for EDG.
Life sucks in a long lane, and Syndra for sure. Longest lane possible in mid with these inner turrets. So the outer turrets are already down for a 16-minute game, so this kind of has to meander, and he wants to be playing a tempo game with his jungler, pushing up and trying to influence the map and make EDG accountable after the good early game from TL. Doesn't feel like the 2,700 gold lead or so right now, especially in Pobelter's eyes.
Important to look at the fact that the next Drake is also spawning in 45 seconds, and it's also one of those Drakes that everybody finds so important in the Infernal. It is one of the critiques, as I mentioned earlier, about Liquid, that they seem to go really, really hard for Drakes. They have a over 70% Drake control in their games, but it has lost them some of their previous matches already, as they have been punished for those takes. But with one Infernal already under their belts, getting a second could be a big bonus.
And a lot of those previous unsuccessful Drakes from Team Liquid did come down a lot to execution in the team fights, which they talked about, you know, not having the best communication, and I think plan going into them as well. Doing a bit too much on the fly kind of reaction. This game has looked much more coordinated from them.
Throwing up the last of the vision here around the aforementioned Infernal Drake. Impact grouping nice and early. The Sandra TP is up. One TP ward spotted is what Ole walks past. They don't clear out the control ward either, but it's just going to be a fast Infernal Drake take for TL.
Drake take for Team Liquid, and now they back away. This is what people want to see from Team Liquid, securing the objective, not taking a needless fight afterwards, instead just claiming that small victory, resetting and planning out the next one. Team Liquid learning from some of those mistakes before, maintaining the 3,000 gold lead, having the double scaling bonus of 2 Infernals, and now we'll see them move up towards the northern part of the map, secure some more vision around there. Baron will be live in just over a minute.
But all the easy objectives now are largely down from a TL perspective, and finding a way to actually pressure inner turrets. The vision is too shallow to do that. Baron hasn't spawned. A lot of teams already at Worlds 2018 have found themselves in this scenario where it gets a lot less easy or straightforward. The checklist gets a bit more murky when you're in this scenario and want to work out what's the next objective we target.
Yeah, it feels a bit tedious, but the next objective that arrives that no one really wants to do is the homework of laying down and increasing your vision through enemy territory. Since all these outer turrets are down, you push in, you get the wards between these jungle corridors to make it more difficult for your opponents to have any sort of gold income to keep up with you. That's the way that you slowly increase your gold until the next neutral comes.
And the reason that you kind of put it as one of these ironic objectives or one of these less desirable objectives is it often has to be relayed. One swoop of it is not enough. You have to come back. It's going to be defended and it's going to be attacked. But if you keep in all the balls in the air of this particular juggling act of things like, okay, what cooldowns are up, what flashes are down, there's always that chance to collapse when the wards are either being attacked or defended.
It very much is house cleaning, dusting everything off, taking out the trash, going through, washing the windows.
It's chores. It's chores to put up vision. It's a disciplined process, and we'll see if Team Liquid has the discipline to make it work out successfully.
I thought there was going to be a PSA about doing your chores here for the viewers at home from you, Flowers.
No, come on, I'm not going to do that, man. You guys should be doing your chores anyway. I know you're all responsible here in the Twitch chat. as Ole and the rest of Team Liquid now have themselves positioned around the top side of the map here. EDG doesn't seem too afraid. Scout gets himself away over the wall with the claw. Grand Entrance won't be finding him anytime soon, and EDG will back out of Team Liquid territory, back into that neutral river.
Good defensive vision around here, and here's the catch.
Pobelter in some trouble yet again. EDG are finding him time and time again. That's another kill going their way.
Watching some of the NALCS, I see that Pobelter sometimes has his lapses in judgment where he had previously control. His team was playing around vision control. It goes away, and he still plays and doesn't respond quickly enough. They had no control around this area, and Ole is out of position as well.
Ole in some trouble. Mako goes in, headbutt, pulverized, goodbye. Haro claims that one.
He was just trying to do his chores. There was a ward there in the Baron, fellas. I mean,
don't do your chores when the house is burning down, Kobe.
Fair enough.
Get out of the house.
The mid lane turret going down, if we recall back to the answer that EDG had, actually led to a lot of these plays. You know, Pobelter did not have security of that turret to rely on in the mid lane. That's why he's here.
What does he have? Nothing.
Exactly. He's on an EDG ward here. Mako finds him right over the edge. He also was trying to do his chores here, drop the control ward over the edge, and it seems like those are much more dangerous than we thought they were. Ole also getting caught. Mako, easy collapse here, and Alistar really showing why this pick, the reliable engage, also the reliable defenses of your ultimate after you go in, just so important in this world.
Don't do your chores when crazy farm animals are on the loose. The Alistar rampaging around the Baron Pit means there's no way out there for poor Ole.
What is this conditional PSA you're doing now?
Back where I come from, this might actually be a very realistic thing. You live out in the country, sometimes there's some raging farm animals on the loose.
I defer to you on this one, Flash.
All right, this is my area of expertise, Papa Smithy. You trust me. Raging farm animals, not something you want to have to deal with when you're putting down some wards in the Baron Pit. And right now, EDG will continue just picking up these resources in their jungle. They've closed the gold gap down to about 1.5K from the 3,000 it was earlier.
And I'd like to try to read the minimap and say, okay, where do we control? And for the side of TL, who is still in a gold lead, the answer is pretty limited vision. Yes, one river brush, which has caused them a lot of strife in the last few minutes, but they have to invade 3-4 man to get any vision, but they're looking for a pick.
Nice catch coming out from Team Liquid. They return the favor. You catch our mid laner, we'll catch yours.
All right, now it is Team Liquid with some agency around the Baron Pit. Trying to retreat out here, clear out some of that work that EDG did. Impact has been the one chosen, more tanky, to actually rotate over to the mid lane and try and hold off EDG's counter push.
You can still try to collapse on Impact, but it takes a lot of work to beat down that Scion. Decimating Smash going to be used there to make sure the wave doesn't do too much damage to the turret. McSmithy also hanging around to the side here, ready to jump in as Pobelter will continue pushing down this top lane. But EDG wants to collapse. You can see so many pings. On my way, on my way, on my way, on my way. Weaver's wall gets built to block off the exit. Pobelter's in some trouble. Ray's coming up after him there. No way to get himself out of this one. And once more, Pobelter in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, split pushing Syndra, definitely hard to pull off. No mobility here outside of your flash and merely walking around. So EDG with the Taliyah will not let you do that in a side lane, and Team Liquid are punished immediately after they find that pick on Scout.
I'm instantly reminded of Doublelift's words. Yeah, when we get on stage, I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens. Instead of playing as a team, everybody's just paying attention to their own game and getting caught and making poor decisions. Pobelter has got to stop giving these away for free.
It's the reality of playing on the world stage where everyone around you is a champion, a second place, or a third place team. They are right up there in terms of competitive in their region. And the game state is changing and shifting so quickly. The seesaw, it's not a team fight seesaw like the previous game. It's been a vision battle. But in those couple of moments, Pobelter's held his summoners, died twice, and it feels like Team Liquid need to find a way to once again get agency over the map. They've used this time to get control wards over the Baron, but no realistic start on the Baron available for TL right now.
They will yield the first elemental Drake of the game that they haven't managed to find for themselves over to EDG. That is Mountain Drake #1 for the LPL representative. Is going to give them some more objective control as the game goes on, but no objectives other than that Drake have been taken in a little while now. Still 1 turret to 3 overall. Claw comes out from Scout, not going to try to go in on that one. Doesn't want to go in alone until the rest of the team arrives. But the TP's coming in to cut them off from downtown. Doublelift and Olay are not aware of this immediately. Now they're making their way out. TP's going to come in from Impact here as well. They're going to try to go on to Ray, start this fight off on the isolated Urgot. They'll burn him down to half rather quickly. Claw over the wall from Scout. Ray's already going to be killed. Olay's making sure of that. Still trying to find more damage onto the carries as Pobelter falls off the side. It's the Alistar on the front line tanking up everything, but Mako will fall. The carries from EDG trying to get themselves away. Haro barely got out as well with almost no HP, and Team Liquid control the fight.
Pobelter does die on the flank with the Syndra, but Team Liquid have the easy route into Baron. They've gone with the sweeper through the control ward, protecting him here. EDG have an idea, though, and they're coming to check.
It's definitely the right time to start. Scout doesn't have his ultimate, but still can use Aftershock and be very tanky.
It's so hard to make this happen without the ulti. That's 2.5 seconds of invulnerability that you do not have. Team Liquid with Baron down to 4K. Impact's looking to disengage and find something. Stasis coming out from Scout, buying the time. Doublelift goes up into the air, utilizing the power of the Xayah ultimate. Team Liquid will be stopped on their Baron attempt.
Yeah, Team Liquid aren't able to either finish the Baron or turn around to get a pick there. Scout getting in and then flashing out is the cost. So a summoner spell to stop the Baron, definitely worth it for EDG.
No Baron completion there, no Stasis, no funny business. In the replay here, it was one of those spanking who situations as Ray went in early, but it was spotted with the visual. They turn onto him, and even though Scout and Haro can jump onto Pobelter, it's at the cost of EDG having any control of this 4-man unit of TL.
Exactly. I think it was a very intelligent ultimate early from X-Smithy on the Nocturne. As the teleport comes in, the communication breakdown from EDG of where the engagement and the timing on that is why Team Liquid got the early jump. And then, of course, Pobelter there on the outside collapses with 2 of EDG's damage dealers so that they can protect.
Oh, what is it with this spot every single time? Team Liquid tries to do the chores here, and every single time, it's EDG saying, nope, not today.
Mako's the one cleaning house tonight. He finds another kill. 7 kills / assists for him. That is 100% kill participation on the Alistar, and he is taking names.
Let's go back to Champion Select, gentlemen. It was EDG that got first pick onto the Urgot. It was Team Liquid that had the opportunity to take Alistar for themselves. They did not. And then when we saw the Alistar go over to EDG along with that top-tier top laner, we said, wow, looks like there's some serious power picks over here, and we're seeing that play out right now.
Still a real chance that the Rakan has a match-winning engage, but all the little nerfs to the durabilities will hold that point.
Speaking of engages, Smithy going in, looking to find a CC down onto that Lucian. Eyeboy with a flash out to keep himself alive, means Team Liquid won't go any further with that one.
All right, so we back away from here. We take note of the fact that Doublelift has hit 3 items on the Xayah, so has got a lot of threat on his side. See how the next team fight opens up, though. Once again, a Vision World, but here's Ray.
Righteous Glory, trying to find his initiation, goes into the Disdain, won't find anyone on the toss back. Team Liquid get themselves out on that one.
Syndra was in the top side. That's why they looked for an engage there. Don't find anything out of it. Ray's flash is down. We back away again, and this Vision tussle continues.
Yeah, the game here really breaking down around Baron with neither team able to get full control. Now starting up the Baron again, EDG are forcing their hand.
EDG says full control, who needs it? We're just going to force the issue right here. Keep your eyes on Olay. That's going to be the man to pull the trigger on the side of Team Liquid. If they decide to go in, it'll be off of that engage. TP going to come in now from the side of EDG. Scout wants to make his way in here. Decimating Smash going to knock 2 up into the air. Stasis going to be used there. Olay already popped the quickness. Looking to make that engage happen. Ray's going to be taken very low. Doublelift grabbing the kill onto him. Keeping himself kiting backwards now. Mako the target of the fire as Scout's not able to find anything. Drops the Stasis. Will not matter. Team Liquid's going to find 3. The remaining 2 head for the hills. And Team Liquid head for Baron.
Critical mistake there from EDG, and Team Liquid with a huge punish. They've got 3 members off the board, and that is going to be TL Baron.
Doublelift free hitting the entire time, no threat onto him. The ultimate irony is the brush that has caused death 3 times is where Doublelift can play around. No vision there, and that means that Doublelift stays safe and TL get the Baron.
Spawn said it earlier in the day. When it comes to 80 carries, think about uptime. Think about how long you get to fire, and Doublelift was all over it in this replay.
And this was a risky fight for TL. They had Featherstorm down, other important cooldowns. were not available. I love Impact, though. He gets the double stun up, and that's where TL pulled the trigger.
Scout uses his first stasis there, invulnerable, and he's going to use the second one, but he doesn't get any damage off. Meanwhile, Doublelift, as you both point to, just melts through the front line and is able to take them front to back.
This is a very good omen for Team Liquid. Good lord, man.
He does more than the entire enemy team.
Damage. Yeah, everybody else on EDG put together doesn't equal what Doublelift was able to do in that fight. Incredible damage output from him, and it puts Team Liquid in a spot where now they're seriously in control over this game. You've got an entire row of tier 2 turrets standing, and when you've got that and you've got Baron, it's free money every day.
And to me, that team fight was a trust fall for TL. That was Doublelift saying, I have the items, we can win this, doesn't matter if Featherstorm is unavailable, the Sion ult is down. I am at an item timing where I trust in my damage, and between the Zeke's Convergence Amp and Doublelift, the front line died where they stand.
I mean, we gave credit over to the side of EDG and Mako for their Alistar having them 100% kill participation. Doublelift currently at 7 out of 9 for his team. 0 deaths on that Xayah so far. Xmithie also sitting on 0 deaths as now the fight's going to be breaking out yet again. Xmithie on the middle of the fight, going to be taken down with the Guardian Angel passive coming up here soon. The flash away from Scout, trying to keep himself alive. Ray's going to be soaking the damage for a very long time, but iBoy's going to be shut down by Pobelter. That's Team Liquid picking up 2.
Credit to the front line from Team Liquid as well. Once Impact arrives on the Sion, he is able to zone the entire damage output from EDG, allowing Team Liquid to clean that fight up. And that one is a fight lost where Team Liquid have the Baron buff so they can heavily take their rewards out of EDG's base.
EDG has 2 carries and a frontliner that has no ultimate to be that proper front line. Their base is going to crumble under the might of this push from Team Liquid. Xmithie is headed into the top lane to make sure he gets that push going so they can try to make something happen in that last remaining lane with this last remaining minute of Baron. But the Baron power play is already at 7,000 gold.
And it's moments like these, the last team fight, Inter taking 2 inhibitors that show the fallback fundamentals that TL have brought, dominating North America. We're going to watch the replay where it was initially Scout having to self-ult out of emergency, but the Sion ult here was massive for TL.
Yeah, Ole went in and made him change his plans completely. Once Impact arrives, they zone him up. Syndra also being able to let loose with the ultimate there, finding the kill onto iBoy super early on, allows them to then turn onto Ray. And once again, it is Ray who gets stunned up.
Ray's trying to stop this Team Liquid gameplay, but it's not going to happen yet today. They take him very low as now Ole's going in, able to find the damage and the CC on Naharo thanks to Pobelter. It's shutdown credit coming out for the side of EDG onto the enemy jungler, but Liquid still looking to take the fight here for themselves. Scout goes over the wall, looks to find something, won't find anyone so far. Doublelift pops the QSS, Doublelift finds the kill, Doublelift dominating, and Team Liquid is on the victory march. iBoy avoids the scan of the week for now. The orbs go over the wall, the Alistar goes down, Impact goes in, iBoy's on the run. Team Liquid want to be the grasp of the dead and pull EDG down with them. They want to prevent that tiebreaker. They want to exit the world stage and win, and they are gonna do it. They'll take down EDG and bust that Nexus.
And Team Liquid get their victory, get their revenge on EDG for the loss earlier. What a victory here. They were caught out many times in this game, but still persevered in the end. Good team fighting around Baron allows them a hold on this game.
And Team Liquid have spent the entire year after stacking this roster trying to be the pride of North America. Unable to do it at MSI, barring a good second round robin. Unable to exit the group. But once again, just like the Buffaloes yesterday, heads held high. They've once again thrown this group into a bit of pandemonium as no longer does EDG control their destiny. KT Rolster with a win over Mad Team will be first seed.
And with KT's performance so far, you have to admit that that is highly unlikely. Team Liquid have done a service to KT here by making them avoid that tiebreaker and taking down Edward Gaming.
Feels like the ultimate irony. People always pointed to the C9 SKT groups in the past and said that SKT would do the job for the side of C9. Now the telecom team is flipped, and suddenly a big service by TL for KT.
North America pays its debts. Team Liquid, an incredible win from them over Edward Gaming, especially what we said at the beginning of the game. EDG was just coming off an equally incredible win over KT, if not more incredible, taking down this team that just looked unstoppable. And now for Liquid to immediately turn that on its head and say, no, you're going down this time. Incredible showing from them. And for more on how they ended it and ended their tournament with a win, let's leave it to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Captain Flowers. A bittersweet exit to the tournament for Team Liquid and North America's 1 seed, as they do get the victory over EDG, but it isn't quite enough to keep them in the tournament.
Do you want to wear the hat?
I put it on like my ear or something.
Right,
like,
yeah.
This is it's such a weird feeling. North America and TL hate tiebreakers so much that they had to make sure that EDG couldn't have one for first seed. We'll still see if that happens, depending on if KT beats Matt or not. But I like the bittersweet word.
I was going to say, I don't want to downplay the significance of the victory and how well Team Liquid played to get it. It's more a reality of the situation to have fallen so, to have been so close and yet been so far.
And I think it's then that question of, why now? Why didn't this happen the first time? And the idea of pressure. Is this simply the glare of the spotlight is too blinding for TL that when all the pressure is off, finally you can see the North American team take the stage? And does that mean that they will never be a great team because they can never meet those expectations?
Ole had some sick engages this game,
right? He played his best game of the tournament.
I was going to say, let's remember that during the first round robin, it was this Rakan pick that we were all kind of, away from because it didn't look pretty, and here he returns to it in the final game of the tournament.
Yeah, Dash, you and I off air had some conversations about whether or not this felt worse or better.
Yeah.
And I think there are people out there that will have both opinions. My opinion is that this feels better, even though you're sad that this TL couldn't show up when it did matter, you're still happy that they didn't go 2-4. Like, when you look back at this tournament, you can go, okay, 3-3. If EDG didn't take down KT, you can think, hey, they would have been able to play for a tiebreak.
Right. Purely from a record standpoint, I would have trouble debating that point, right? That I'm looking at it and go 3-3, well, that's more successful than 2-4. Where this stings for me as an NA fan is exactly what Frost was saying, is I'm watching this and going, so why did it take us till Game 6 to get to the point where we played to a level that would have gotten us through to the quarterfinals, right? If they had done this one other time in the group stage, that's the difference maker, and I think that's where it'll stink. That's where it'll hurt as an NA and a Team Liquid fan at the World Championship, is just go, well.
Sure. I mean, I understand everything you guys are saying. If we zoom out a little bit, like if we look at TL versus EDG, ends up 1-1. So we can say, based on those two games, EDG had one where they looked pretty good, and then TL had one where they looked pretty good. So it ended up being very close. What ends up hurting TL is not the fact that they can't beat EDG because they just did. It's the fact that EDG had that game against KT where they overperform, where they managed to get to a late game point and play really, really good team fights. So that's why EDG are now sitting here. And they're obviously mad because they were supposed to ride that high from the KT game straight into smacking TL down and getting a tiebreaker for first. But man, they came down fast.
I also think it was a bit of a race to who was going to figure out how to play this group. And if you think that each group has an individual meta, or maybe there's a tournament meta or what it was, but the fact of the matter is if you look at TL's picks, it's almost like they don't have the confidence, and then as they ramp up and they find that confidence, they trade away the Galio picks, they pick up things like the Syndra, they're moving towards the LeBlanc, Ole is now performing on the Rakan, they start ramping up and finding that inner fire, whatever it might be, but it was almost too little too late, whereas EDG had that fire straight out of the gate.
Yeah, and to your point about, the EDG game against the KT game being ultimately the decider for Team Liquid either being in or out of the tournament, while that's entirely true, again, from my perspective, I think the issue there is that Team Liquid doesn't have control over that. What they had control over was either beating EDG the one other time or taking one game off of KT.
Coming into today, I feel like they circled on the whiteboard, gotta beat Mad, we gotta beat EDG. And they did those two things and it wasn't enough. But the thing that I can't say for certain is if they would have played like this, if this game mattered. Right? That's the really hard thing to come to terms with, because we've now seen 2 international tournaments in a row. They go 0-4 at MSI. Then they think like, there's no way. Then they go on a run. they win like 4 out of the next six games, right? They end the group stage at 4-6, and here they do it again. So the mentality, I feel like, of this team, it is becoming more and more clear to me that is actually their biggest problem, is the big pressure moments. Because even though there's no way EDG was taking this game lightly, like they beat a full strength, full momentum EDG that was probably looking past to KT, but still needed to win this game, and they beat them soundly, but they just didn't do it when it mattered.
This is actually the most frustrating thing as an analyst when you are watching a team play and you go like, well, if everyone performs and everyone are able to perform on stage, they can do things like we saw here against EDG. So you try and you base your analysis a little bit around that, some of your prediction around it. And then they go on stage the first week and everything kind of falls apart. They talk about how, they're not on the same page. People don't perform the same way on stage anymore. And then they end up doing this when nothing matters. It just makes it extremely frustrating. And I can fully understand why both the players on TL are probably really mad and also the fans.
Right.
Because you see this as the ending, which is weird because this should have been your tiebreaker game you just secured.
You wanted to see them play again.
Without a doubt. That said, again, I don't want to take away from the performance of the team in this game in particular. So MasterCard player of the game, let's talk about him. It's Doublelift once again here on the world stage.
And the thing is that the fact of the matter is that Doublelift is going to get a lot of flack, but ultimately, it was in a meta where it was Kai'Sa. When he did finally get to play, when he was given the power to play the lane phase, I think he did play the lane phase quite well.
Yeah, and this Xayah game was solid against an iBoy Mako lane, which is extremely strong.
Without a doubt. Now the question is or not the question, now the last thing I want to talk about is just the EDG kind of return to earth, in response to this Team Liquid victory. We are assuming a KT win in the next game, which means we don't get a tiebreaker. There is that off chance that Mad Team picks up the victory, and they do actually have to play KT again. But should there be any concern around EDG and the volatility of beating the #1 LCK team and then losing to a team that looked like it was, struggling more than it should throughout the, the first half of the group stage?
This is the most classic EDG moment that could have had. I guarantee that RNG's stomach has just bottomed out seeing EDG take second seed if KT lose or beat Mad Game next game. Because again, it just takes one draw and EDG have that record that they are the Chinese killers. They do really well against domestic teams.
Alrighty, well that's going to do it for Team Liquid at the World Championships. But for more on his tournament run, Shox is standing by with Team Liquid's bot laner.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm here with Doublelift, closing out the World Championship with a win, but I can imagine not extremely happy about that. I'm going to just give you a chance to give your first reaction after your final game at Worlds.
It reminds me of what Jizuki said after, in one of his interviews. He's like, I feel kind of good, but mostly I feel empty. Yeah, it sucks. I feel like crying, but I just don't want to do that, so... It sucks, I don't know what to say. It just, we tried our best, that's all. I did everything, everyone on our team did everything they could, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it was a rough group. I see that you're struggling with emotion, so I won't make this any longer than it has to be. Is there just anything else you would like to say to the fans that have supported you forever? We'll be a bit rough now, but we'll keep supporting you guys.
I think it's good to have high expectations of the teams that you want to see succeed. It's not acceptable that I go to Worlds every year as the first seed, and I shit the bed, and I never perform, and my team never makes it out of groups. And yeah, geez, I didn't think I was gonna get emotional actually.
Oh, that's all right.
No, but it's been 8 years, and I can't do this thing, but I'm never gonna give up, so that's what I want to say.
I think that is the message to go with. As I said, we won't make this any longer. Thank you so much for even talking to us. I know how hard it is, and I'm sure that we'll be seeing much more of you in the years to come. Thank you very much. We're going to take a quick break. When we're back, it is KT up versus Mad Team. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back for what could be the final game of the day. KT Rolster versus Mad Team. With Team Liquid taking down EDG in the previous matchup, that means that with a win here, KT will secure that first seed.
But with KT Rolster, the old adage of don't spend it before you've earned it should always be applied. Getting excited about KT, one of the oldest memes. I'm of the opinion that KT finally winning the big one has dispersed this meme, but I'm not sure if I want it to be tested, so we'll see if KT Rolster can shake off that loss to EDG a couple of games ago. They're on the blue side this time. They're going to have to mix it up in draft.
And of course, now it is Mad Team that are playing the spoiler. Mad Team that want to get on the board. If they win, then KT will have to play a tiebreaker with EDG. And considering how exciting that first game that they had today was, looking forward to it a little bit.
If we're going to be greedy, we want to see another game.
We want more games.
And we're greedy bastards.
And I mean, last game was the spoiler from Team Liquid, taking down EDG. If you looked at the last time those teams played, you would probably expect EDG to win that game, but not today. Team Liquid found it. If Mad Team can find their first win of Worlds here, that means we get one more game after.
If we're vocalizing, our hopes and dreams right now, Mad Team, now is when I want to start seeing some flavor picks, So many teams at Worlds already have found success, playing to their strengths and things that they have come up with that not necessarily every other team is playing, not necessarily considered meta, not, people aren't really stretching out as much as they really should.
And I think when it comes for attacking KT, I know this doesn't sound like the best way to go, but 5 great players, it can be difficult. I think you play through your strength, and to me, whenever I watch Mad Team, it's their jungler, it's Kongyu, and his ability to take over a game. Kindred did not fit. The early game didn't help from score last time out, so maybe try to attack the player that had a bit of a down game last time out.
And Kongya did manage to be the one who got first blood for Mad Team against EDG earlier today. We'll see if maybe they can work through him this time around. I'm trying to remember the exact stat that Jat shared on the desk at the start of the day, but something along the lines of 19 champs. But it's actually Benny that's going to be subbed in for Mad Team. He'll be there in the jungle.
All about getting some stage experience in this game where the team is already eliminated. You might think, okay, does that hurt the chances for EDG to force the tiebreaker? Let's remember back to yesterday where a certain jungle Camille came off the bench and won an important game for Fengvu Buffaloes. It has been a world that's been very kind to sub players.
That's true. I mean, Kongya, though, he was the all-pro jungler in the LMS, so it's definitely going to also put some extra burden on the rest of Mad Team, I feel like. Let's see what they can pull out, because already starting off with Xayah is a strong place.
Well, the point that I was making before I realized that there was a substitute in the jungle is I believe Jat said there were 19 different picks so far this Worlds that had only been played by a single player. Pocket picks are the name of the game. They're cool now. I want to see Mad Team break out something from the back pocket as KT Rolster does go for the Irelia for themselves, responded to with the Xayah and the Gragas. Nothing too meta-breaking yet.
Yeah, blind Irelia here. Now, Irelia is a flex pick. Smeb is definitely one of the top laners that would take a skill matchup with this champion. So don't automatically assume this is going to the mid lane, even with a Shen locked in. Possibly support Shen there. So a lot of flexibility here from KT Rolster, and that's what you want to see from a team on the blue side.
And I think it's very likely that Benny will be jumping on the Gragas. He's largely this year, of course, played a lot less in summer with Kongya taking over, been focusing on the tank junglers. So the Gragas kind of straddles the line, can still build ability power, but it's a skill set that he's developed. So we'll see how he looks on the world stage. And just rounding out the draft here for the side of Mad Team. Seems like power picks across both sides, but I think you're definitely right. To me, Smeb and Yukal, both great Irelia players.
Smeb and Yukal, some guys who have done plenty of heavy lifting for KT Rolster throughout this tournament. They've had plenty of good performances for themselves. Going into the second round robin today, they were number 1 and number 2 in overall KDA among all groups. Yukal had a 28.0, Smeb had a 24.0. Those are extremely high numbers.
And already here too, we did see the takeaway of the Lissandra. Uniboy feels like he is going to pull off some Aftershock as well. I believe that's what he used. And we'll see if that will be a good nullifier for the mid lane, because that's a good, decent answer. Irelia, everyone always talks about the level 6 going all in for the kills, so if it happens to be swapped to the mid lane, he does have an answer.
But Mad Team does seem to be subscribing to the fact that it might be a top lane Irelia for Smeb with 2 more mid lane bans. There's 2 reasons to do this. One is just to attack a champion, but also maybe they want to force it to be a top lane Irelia and have a matchup in mind for that.
We have also seen, of course, top lane Lissandra as well. That's why we're seeing Syndra ban come out from KT Rolster. They are also covering all bases.
Well, now that those bans have been completed in the second phase, Swain, LeBlanc, Syndra, Kindred, what is the pick here from Mad? Thinking about the Nocturne there in the jungle, which would, of course, mean that the Gragas has to go somewhere else, likely into that support position for K.
Now, Nocturne is actually one of my favorite combinations with Lissandra. Lissandra has her greatest strength coming in on a flank for the enemy team. And if you Nocturne ult right as a Lissandra teleports or approaches from the side with the claw, it makes the Lissandra's job so much more easy to execute.
That claw obfuscation, the fact that you have so little vision to be able to see what's happening around you, means your wits are largely going to be elsewhere. We're looking on the side of KT Rolster. The inner jungler is going to be Xin Zhao once again for score. Was victorious on that pick against EDG in the first round robin. Final pick here. They could play around with the Shen. It might just be the support. Now that's confirmed to be the Gragas in the bot lane. See what Mata picks up for the team on the side of KT.
One more to go, and with Sion being the lock-in, you would assume, yes, it is the Shen support, unless Sion's looking to kick around some minions there in the bottom lane. Highly doubt it.
I wonder if it'll be the mid lane Sion. That's my interesting question here. Notice that we do have the Camille locked in, and the split push pressure of Wunder was a big highlight earlier in the season. So let's see how this one goes here.
Exactly. I saw them rushing into the Camille pick here. Oh, Sion, great. Let's do the Camille. Let's do the split push. Swap that sucker up to laying in the top side. However, KT Rolster Not so quick there. UCal holding on to this one for now.
Sometimes you want to hold on a little bit longer. You didn't need to lock it in instant, but feeling confident. We'll see if we get that confirmation. Coming down to 20 seconds on this time.
20 seconds left, and that means Irelia is top. Sion is mid here for the side of KT Rolster. This team that can still finish this group 5-1. This team that can still walk away with that first seed right here.
I am incredibly excited to have the opportunity now for a carry v carry matchup here at Worlds. We have had plenty of tanks, a full roster, but now we've got Liang versus Smeb, Irelia versus Camille. Who can get the advantage? Because when both teams are running these carry top laners, that determines so much of the mid game, who will have the pressure on the sideline.
And just with the texture of the drafts we're seeing, there was a bit of a preview of what we might have when we hit the best of fives. Yes, there will be tank v tank games. There will also be carry v carry games with all the buffs to Darius, Fiora, and the more seen Camille and the champions we're seeing in the meta right now. We saw Jax yesterday. Anything is possible at the highest level.
And you said that you wanted to see creativity come out from Mad Team. We wanted to see them try something different here in this final game they'll be playing at Worlds 2017. And specifically what I want to see is Mad Team try to get ahead. I mentioned when we saw KT up against EDG, they've spent barely any time in a big deficit so far at Worlds. And if you can put them there, maybe they won't know how to get back. Maybe that's your win condition here for Mad Team, trying to find that first win.
This has also got to be such an exciting moment here for Benny. His first game on the world stage, you know, getting to participate with the rest of the squad versus one of the world's very best. KT Rolster, you cannot buy experience like this.
Definitely cannot, especially because they've been paired together now for the better part of 2 years. Yes, UCal did join a couple of weeks into the spring season this year, but the veteran status of 4 players here who are both all legends in their role and also have a very extensive history, both at the World Championship and domestically, does mean that KT, it often does slide into place, but like Flowers says, a couple of quick kills and suddenly KT will be on the back foot 2 games in a row.
Now let's see if we're gonna get anything delayed here in the jungle as an early start. You're not seeing any deep vision. You're not seeing any immediate invades. K is just hanging out there on that ward. Not a big deal because he's in neutral territory, but seems like we won't get too much of it. Both junglers going to be starting on the bottom side of the map. Benny at the blue, Score at the red, and nothing too special really to talk about there with those starts.
Yeah, we do have a leash here from Mad Team, you know, helping slingshot this Nocturne towards level 6. Of course, the idea, try and get him level 6 as early as possible. Maybe he'll pay it back in the bottom side, but this does mean that Mata and Deft have the inside track on the minions. They will be able to execute them quickly here, get the push going. It looks like Breeze will quickly answer, and we see the very classic by now, almost standard jungler through the bottom side, up to the Scuttle Crab. Bested by that ward, but does get seen by the Pixel Brush one, I believe.
That was the same camp tried earlier in the tournament against Team Liquid the first time out. They got a lot more value that time. Much safer entrance to lane the long way from Mad Team. Means no health bar advantage for Deft and Mata in the 2v2.
Yeah, Mad Team really making sure they respect that probability that there's going to be Score pathing through there early on. As Smeb dashing around here, trading back and forth with Liang early on, but Liang's getting the better of him. He might just find the solo kill on the Smeb. It was down to a single auto attack, but first blood to Mad Team.
That is incredible here. Smeb gets solo killed on the world stage. Level 2 carry, free carry within the minions, and Liang is able to make it happen. You saw the shield come up here, adaptive shield from Camille helping out in the trade and kind of forcing him back off.
Smeb starts at a health disadvantage, but the stun registers QE skilled up by Smeb. Tries to play around vision. It ends up being close, but I think it was Camille comfortably at the clutch.
The minions almost finished the job, but able to duck into the brush in time. Means that Smeb will not get a return kill in that trade, and now Liang's underneath the turret as Score's hanging out nearby.
Yeah, all that action is going to attract junglers. You see actually both of them. Since Benny on the Nocturne has gone with a hard power clear, he's cleared every single camp up towards this side in his efforts to try and reach level 6 as quickly as possible. He'll end in this area as well, so if Score does end up actually leaving, Smeb might have to have another reset.
Does mean that Xin Zhao has missed out on a lot of camps. He's going to go pick up his blue buff now. I just wanted to allow the shop to come through some items here for Smeb. who's piecing together, honestly, whatever he can get.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time, though. He did have to go with the recall because Score is like, hey, I can't spend all day up here. I've got almost all my camps up. I need to go clear my camps. You're going to have to recall, take another hit as far as the CS is going because this Nocturne, one of the biggest benefits of doing this hard clear, power farming route is actually that your camps will come up that much quicker for the second round, which are more valuable, and you can use those before you go for your first gank. Right now, though, he's heading down the river while he has some time on the small ones respawning.
Yep, still a little bit of time to go. Remember, this isn't the olden jungle of Season 6 and everything before where the camps are just constantly popping up. You've got some downtime to see if you can make something happen, but it doesn't look like Benny has the opportunity to really get in there anytime soon, as Score will go right back to the chickens. And we'll see him farm those up. He is doing it on a ward, but it's not really a big deal. There's no contest here.
Yeah, Score, the only difference here, he hasn't been able to go for a recall. He spent his time grabbing those scuttle crabs, which is very important, providing quite a lot of golden experience as well. But he's got his duty to finish off clearing his small camps before he goes for the recall, and has caught back up very nicely.
Do love seeing the aggressive hookshot trades. One of the best ways to win as the Camille in lane is to feel aggressive enough to take a hookshot trade. They knew the Xin Zhao was on the bottom side of the map, so no counter ganks available. So trade up while you have this item lead, as Lang does.
Exactly. Again, we've seen the most success for teams here at Worlds this year when they show no fear, going right to the opponent. Liang, no exception here on the Camille, and you can see Smeb now playing respectfully.
Trying to minimize any sort of additional losses he might take, recognizing that he did get solo killed earlier, not wanting to put himself at any more risk as he farms up. Benny on the top part of the map will find level 5 now, 5.5 minutes into the game, grabbing that Scuttle Crab. Next level means it's time to hit the go button.
Next level.
Leon goes in. He has the ultimate available here on the Camille. Hextech Ultimatum not going to be issued, but Smeb takes the pain on that one.
And that is with the minion wave here. Cannon wave pushing. So Smeb in a dangerous spot. That is his last tick of the corrupting potion charge. Benny almost level 6 coming over on the Nocturne. He really wants to go get level 6 first. If he did Krugs, he would get it, but it's not going to be the case. Score's coming up to protect. We're seeing a mid lane roam, though. They could force it through even with that.
Ain't no party like a top lane party. Let's see if Mad Team can make it happen. Smeb's almost back up to full HP. Lissandra Claw coming through. Score's going to be in some trouble and immediately deleted. Flash coming away from Smeb, but he's still going to be locked down by the ulti. Hextech Ultimatum comes out. Reinforcements have arrived. Yucal smashes them and manages to get one in return. Can he grab the kill onto Benny as well? Uniboy trying to provide the peel. The fear's gonna go off, but not in time. The double kill goes over, and Yucal makes it an even trade.
The instant proc there of the Q, enough to finally pick up the kill as the fear tether was about to hit. So he does spare the blushes of his duo there, the jungle and the top lane. Bot side kind of wondering what this was all about, but it's all about timings, and specifically Uniboy having his ult up.
Yeah, Mad Team, they see juicy opportunity here. 3 members, they easily take down Score quickly under the turret, but with the roam up through the river, Yucal gets into position, hits the AoE knockup, is able to zone them backwards so they can focus down the Camille first and then turn on the Nocturne.
Then he tried to get away, but that was so close to that fear going off. He just quick casted the Q right at the very end to grab the kill there. Good play coming out from Yucal. And bottom side, it's KT looking to return the favor. Score goes in with a vengeance. Finds himself that first kill. K's in some trouble. No ulti to disengage anything. Deft goes right back in with a killer instinct, but now Benny wants to mop him up. Can't quite do it. One more turret shot would have made it happen, but that's still going to be advantage for KT.
You love to love the mind games there from Deft. Steps back, then ults in with the killer instinct shield to guarantee the kill. Paranoia's not enough, and that time KT get the gank around bot lane to get the bot side of the map going.
KT Rolster now ahead in gold after the strong start from Mad Team. Let's take another look at how it started, though, because this is a good job from Score. Now, notice he's level 5 right now, so he jumps in, he gets the kill, immediately levels up his ultimate, does not auto-attack the Gragas, uses the ult for the knockback to gain that extra distance, and then Deft, when his level 6 comes in, he gets to use the killer instinct to finish off the second kill.
That's definitely some quick leveling up there, so a little tip at home. The control R was very important.
Hotkeys, very important, even for the level ups, so definitely have that ready.
We talk about big brain plays in League of Legends. That your head's got to be hurting when your brain's able to be big enough to react to that in the moment. I really like the heads up there from Score, recognizing the fact that he would level and being able to make that play. It does mean that 2 kills over to KT gets them the gold lead, even though it's pretty slight right now. K makes his way back down towards the bottom side. Scuttle was secured by the side of Mad Team, so KT will be spotted as they rotate through that bottom part of the river.
Now there's some silver lining also for the Aurelia, who as we know cannot trade with the enemy to kill Camille against a couple of assists for Aurelia because of what's going on in the bot lane. Once the laning phase is over, Kai'Sa and Shen are both so important when it comes to actually helping a skill matchup go their way. The Stand United is the obvious one, right? Just pop in, the taunt, the ability to have a bit of an extra shield, but actually Kai'Sa in Korea at least is often using a 1-3-1 just to combo ult with the Killer Instinct to join. So there's multiple ways to bail Smeb out of a solo kill lane that he's really been struggling in.
A very good point, and you really, really need to keep up the communication. Call every back from the enemy bottom lane, because even before a 1-3-1 setup, before turrets have fallen, if you get the early recall on the Kai'Sa, you can even go through lane and go for one of those ganks for your top laner. It's rarely seen to gank for the top laner as a marksman, but pulling in that lane swap can have huge rewards as well. Currently, though, on the bottom side, Score making another pass.
And remember, if you try to go on to anybody on KT that is not named Mata, Stand United now stands ready, and that means they have so much extra protection power. As bottom side, it's both junglers.
There's 4 control wards and Benny in vision here, so the vision advantage for KT is immense.
Score could jump in here over that wall. See if Benny can get out. Damage coming through there. Wind becomes lightning, slows him on down. Nice cast to try to save him, but Deft still has the final shot.
This switch in focus from KT after the solo kill on top side and the maybe successful follow-up there on the tower dive has really been the key for them. Returning down bottom once again, they invade on Benny, and they take it to the Nocturne before the Nocturne can make the offensive play.
And let's talk about how important it is to have a control ward line down the river and the brush control on the bot side of the map. That means that Yukal can do his best Galio impression and ult down the river at any moment. So he'll just duck down the bot, he'll kite down bot after clearing the wave, and then you are so immensely scared that Benny is called in for a counter gank, but even that is in vision of KT.
Biggest indicator when you're looking for a team's next step is to follow the control wards. Where do the wards point you? And that is the way to the next objective. First turret bonus gold does go down for KT Rolster on the bottom side.
And that is the 6th out of 6 games that KT has got first turret here in the group stage. This team's control over early objectives has been rather immaculate at this point, and they've got themselves a 2,000 gold lead because of it. They've got themselves in another major lead because of it, which, as I stated in the game against EDG, they've had for about 2/3 of their total time on Summoner's Rift during the group stage.
And that means, compared to Afrika, who might be in bailout, our top lane carry perspective, when you are blessed to have Deft and Mata on the bot side, when you do have other options to play around, you can make counter plays. But Mad Team's top laner is where their gold is largely centered, and is on the prowl for now.
Yeah, they have control wards of their own, and they're placed around the mid lane. A lot of Mad Team lying in wait, looking for this Scion.
But that's a Scion, Kobe. That's a big old meatball. And the thing is about trying to kill meatballs, it's really hard. I don't know how well that's going to work out.
Also true if they're hugging the turret here. Yukal with some intelligent play, not risking anything. There's no need for him to step up to the minion wave versus Alessandra, not accounting for the rest of the team. You can definitely tell the communication going through, and the ability of KT Rolster here to keep track